In this video, I'm going to end the debate once and for all. CBO versus ABO for lead generation. It's a question I get asked a lot in Leadbase Pro, fittingly so. Obviously, this is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in terms of structuring your account. Now, if you watched the video they posted recently, I think account structure is a little bit overrated because people focus so much on it that they forget that they need good creatives. That being said, obviously the way that we work with the Facebook or Meta algorithm, the way that we structure our ad accounts is important at the end of the day. You could totally do this completely wrong and, screw yourself over. So let's jump on the computer. I'm going to go through a little presentation on why I'm using one of these two still, and I'll show you why I'm using one over the other. So let's jump onto the computer and I'll tell you all the details, okay? I don't know what that accent is. Is that Italian? Maybe. And as always, guys, you can join Leadbase Pro by clicking the link in the description. You get access to training on everything to do with lead generation, funnels, and sales training. We brought in a new coach recently, Jacob, who did over $170,000 in 60 days selling leads. So I thought, hey, this guy knows what he's doing in terms of selling, and he's coaching every second week in Leadbase. And we've got myself, my business partner, doing weekly calls. I spend 2.5 hours every single week answering your questions. And we've got a full course that shows you exactly how to generate leads and sell them for a profit. Or if you're running your own business, get your leads at a cheaper rate, higher quality. It's all there for 99 bucks. Might as well join. Might as well do it. All right, guys, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. CBO or ABO? Which one is it? Start off by saying, everyone talks about this. This is such a big conversation on YouTube. And I want to start off by saying that which one you choose depends on the niche and what you're advertising, okay? So that's what I'm going to say before I get into this, because a lot of people are going to watch this video and say like, well, this big guru or this big guy said use CBO. Well, I'm going to tell you why I use ABO a lot of the time, okay? I'm going to tell you which situations I use it in. The thing is, there's different strategies for different types of marketing that we're doing, okay? So let's talk about it. Everyone's telling you to run CBO. That's what I just said. I knew that was going to happen. I was going to say something and then the presentation was going to show the same thing. Literally, that's what I just said. AI knows me too well. This is Gamma. It's an AI slideshow maker. Okay, so every scaling tutorial says use CBO, CBO, CBO. But if you're running lead gen, if you follow this advice blindly, I think it leads to a lot of problems, because I'll talk about this in a second. CBO is great for e-commerce. It's great for selling like, a single widget or a physical thing. It's great when you have tons of different audiences going on, but I find for lead gen, it doesn't really work as well. And let's break that down. Okay, so if you don't even know what this means, by the way, if CBO and ABO, you're like, what is this guy talking about? CBO is campaign budget optimization and ABO is ad set budget optimization. Okay, so that means we're setting the budget either at the campaign level or the ad set level, and you have your campaign, your ad set, and your ads. So your ad sets house all of your ads, and you can either set the budget at the ad set level and determine the spend there, or you could set it at the campaign level. If you set the budget at the campaign level, Facebook will determine that where to send that spend to. So if you set a $100 campaign budget and you have 10 ad sets, it will spend on whatever ad set it thinks is going to do the best. It might only spend on one of them or two of them and not spend on the other 8, okay? Again, I've run both of these and I've seen CBO fall off hard on campaigns that were actually doing very well in ABO. And that's why I want to dig into this a little bit for. I'm actually going to jump into Ads Manager because I want to show you what this looks like. Okay, here's one of our accounts, and you'll see here I did this test at some point, and this is the result I got. I've got CBO right here at I only spent $1,100 on it, but 10 leads for $112. I've got ABO here, 3,900 leads, spent $192K, and our lead cost is much lower. Obviously, okay, I didn't give the CBO as fair of a shake here, but I knew very quickly it wasn't working as well. And I always come back and test these sorts of things. They're very tertiary for me. The big focus I always have is creative. Sometimes, I'll come back and I'll test different, different options inside Ads Manager because these things change frequently. The algorithm gets updated. I think they're worth testing, but I don't think they're worth losing sleep over or planning your whole business around. You need good creatives at the end of the day. That being said, I suppose if you think the opposite of what I've been saying, that account structure doesn't matter. I mean, I guess it kind of does if you look at it like right here. It's a third of the lead cost, or half and a bit of the lead cost, right? So it does matter. Let's look into each of these campaigns, and I came here for a reason. I came here to show you what campaign budget optimization and ad set budget optimization looks like. And so this one right here is CBO, campaign budget optimization. I've set the budget at the campaign level, and then it's going to distribute throughout the ads here. This is the campaign budget optimization one. Now, I'm not running this in like the purest sense of what CBO is supposed to be for. I really should have more ad sets when I'm testing CBO. But right off the bat, you can see that it just, I mean, again, this isn't the fairest shake, but this is what I've seen at a higher level when I have tested CBO harder, is it did actually split the spend pretty good, but the cost per lead just wasn't very good. And what I've seen in the past is it will actually feed more money to the ad set that's not working as well and neglect the one that's working better. Or if I had more ad sets, which I really should have grabbed a better example for you guys. You're gonna have to trust me from my experience in the past that when I run a bunch of ad sets, it pushes all the spend to an ad like this that's not working as well, okay? And then when I go back to my other campaign here, this is at the ad set level. I'm able to scale the ad sets that are working significantly better. You can see our cost has gone up recently in the past 500 leads or so. This is still a very profitable ad cost for us, but I'm able to determine which ads to scale. And what I've also found is, I mean, early on, you're going to get a much lower lead cost. We've also put some different criteria in to this. This is becoming not the most helpful example, but I've put the ad set budget. I'm putting the budget at the ad set level so I can control exactly how much spend each ad set gets. And right now, they're at a very even cost per lead, as you can see. I can turn off ads that aren't working as well without screwing up my CBO. And I'm able to throw in new ad sets and try and defeat these ad sets in a head-to-head battle. Now, why do I want to control things from a lead gen perspective at the ad set level? Well, with lead generation, you're only really running to one or two audiences. E-commerce, you might be interest stacking, you might be trying a ton of different stuff. It makes sense to run CBO. For lead generation, I mean, ideally you're running one or two main funnels and you're just really pumping spend through those main funnels, through those main audiences. And so the reality with e-commerce is you have high ad set volume, multiple audiences, and constant creative testing. You're constantly creatively testing, which you should be creative testing in lead gen as well. But this is what CBO is really built for, is to be able to distribute that spend across if you look at some of like the bigger YouTubers around e-commerce, they'll have like 10 to 20 ad sets running. They're always loading in new creative packs, a lot of people call them. Whereas with lead gen, the reality is you have a much tighter audience structure. You're not running 10 different audiences. I'm always really running like 2 to maybe 5 ad sets, but probably 2 or 3 ad sets that become my winners. I'm in different campaigns with different types of funnels in them, but I'm always just competing, trying to get a better lead cost on like a new ad set that I throw into the campaign. I'm controlling the ad set budget, and then I'm replacing any ad sets that are lagging behind KPI. And because it's conversion focus, it just is a different game. And lead gen and e-commerce are just fundamentally different. Then you could talk about high ticket, you could talk about all these different things, and they do require different structures. And this is kind of going against what I said in would either be the last video or the video after this. You'll see where I talked about how campaign structure doesn't really matter, but you do obviously need a base. And you could also totally use CBO and your results aren't going to be as different and glaring as mine are there. You could have success with CBO. I just don't think I don't think CBO is the thing that's going to make you successful, right? I think if you have good creatives and you test different angles frequently, that is what is going to help you win. But again, that being said, I just haven't had success with CBO. I already talked about this, the definitions. I'll link this in the description also, guys. And let's talk about, again, why CBO works great for e-commerce. It genuinely does deliver in the right environment. Again, 5 to 15 active ad sets. I kind of talked about this a little bit, but multiple audience types, high creative volume, you're so much different variation, which again, we do have this in lead generation, but in that environment, Meta has a massive pool of data, can dynamically shift budget towards whichever ad set is converting best right now in real time. And that flexibility is a genuine advantage at scale. And that power comes from volume and variety. But with ABO, it wins in lead generation because it tends to over-optimize too early. This is, I think, the most important thing. So what I'll see is I'll put, with CBO, I'll test with 5 or 6 ad sets. It'll shift hard to one of those ad sets, and it doesn't end up being what historically I knew the winning ads came from, right? So it sees a winner quickly and shifts all the budget there. This is why we do the one ad to one ad set method when we're starting out. We test one ad per one ad set, and we'll test like 20 to 30 ad sets with $5 each so that we can force spend and know exactly what's working. I like to have a little bit of control when I'm starting out with Facebook. I don't want to give it the reins right off the bat. I want to do some data crunching myself and avoid having noisy lead gen data. Unlike clear e-commerce purchase signals, lead gen data, form fills and partials, junk is inherently noisier. So we've got maybe a lead form fill, we've got a website fill, and then we've got maybe different types of quizzes or OTP stuff we're running, but there's usually not as clear of an optimization decision unless you're hooked up with like conversion API and you have very, very clear data going back to Facebook. But I just find ABO can force budget. It just forces budget to the wrong thing a lot of the time. And so if you trust it blindly, that just becomes a problem. Simple as that. These are my typical audience structures. So this is why CBO is an issue, because it plays favorites too quickly. So I usually will start testing with a broad audience. I then will have one interest-based audience that maybe stacks one or two interests that helps me get to the bottom helps Meta get to the bottom of who I'm looking for. Sometimes I need to do that, and sometimes broad works fine. And then a lot of the times, if I'm able to get a customer list, or after I've generated several thousand leads, I will build a lookalike audience just to test that. Again, I've said this like 4 times already in this video, but I've tested this a lot of times, guys, in multiple niches. Every time I run CBO, and I've given it a much better run than the example I showed you there. That's just a recent example. I promise. It works worse every single time. There's a lot of people in Leadbase Pro who have had the opposite, and that's fine. You need just, at the end of the day, test it for yourself, and that will help you determine what's going to win. That being said, I think you should start with ABO and focus more on your creatives to start, and then start testing CBO later, because ABO is not going to kill you. But I found at least CBO can kill you. So just start with ABO, honestly. Until you have a bunch of ad sets and you're spending like $1,000 a day, there's no point in really testing CBO, okay? So ABO gives you the control that lead gen demands. You can protect your audiences and decide how much you want to spend in them to fully test them properly. You can nurse your new ad sets like little flowers by giving them a little bit more controlled spend to really get to the bottom of what the CTR is, what the cost per lead is, how is it working. You can scale more intentionally. Again, I like having this control over my ad sets. I'll have my ad set with an ad set budget with maybe 5 to 10, maybe 15 ads in there. That's still distributing ads spend to those 5 to 10 ads. So that's still giving Facebook some control on that level. But at the end of the day, I just prefer ABO. It gives me more confidence when I'm testing. And at the end of the day, again, what the gurus, like Ben Heath, who again is like phenomenal, has an amazing channel. There's another guy whose name escapes me, but a lot of times they are focused on e-commerce, and so CBO works better for them. But in the lead gen world, it's different. You're not running a Shopify store. You're generating leads for local businesses or national businesses. There's just different KPIs, different structures needed. That's, at the end of the day, that's what's worked best for me. Again, you can test it yourself. Here's a simple framework you should use. Again, I'll link in the description. You can start testing CBO if you have 5 ad sets running simultaneously and you want Meta to automatically surface the best performers. Do this once you're confident you're spending several hundred to $1,000+, okay? You don't need to start with CBO. Don't even have that in your vocabulary, okay? Until you've gotten to that point, and then you can test it. And maybe CBO will work better. People have said in the group that it works better for them, but I like the control of ABO. The ultimate takeaway, like I just said, is to test yourself and optimize, okay? But at the end of the day, if you start with ABO and you focus on producing more and more creatives every single week instead of worrying about perfect account structure, you're going to have more success, in my experience, okay? Because creative is king, as they always say, okay? At the end of the day, there is somebody on the other end of that screen on their phone or whatever it is that is looking at your ad, and they don't care if it's CBO or ABO, okay? I know that sounds kind of stupid, but if the ad's good, they're going to click on it. If the ad sucks, it doesn't matter what the freaking structure was, okay? So hopefully this is helpful. I know, again, a lot of you guys have been asking about this. I'm going to clean up the Leadbase Pro course because I think we gave some, not conflicting advice, but I just want everyone to know this. This and the other video I did on repackaging your creatives, I feel like that's everything you need to know. If you just took those 2 videos and ran with them, you're golden. That's at the end of the day, it's all about creative and testing. That's it. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, you can check out Leadbase Pro by clicking the link in the description. I'd love if you subscribe to the channel. I slacked off a little bit the last few weeks, but I'm trying to get back into really pumping these videos out because I truly enjoy making them, and I truly enjoy when you watch them and you like and you comment and you subscribe and tell me what was great and what was bad about the video. Thanks, guys. Bye.